If knowing when to rent versus buying a home was obvious, you wouldn't be watching this video, because choosing to buy a house is one of the biggest financial decisions you will ever make. And pulling the trigger at the wrong time can take years to undo and cause a massive financial headache. And there's no return policy on a home, right? Like you can't just like Amazon Prime it back. So you need to get the timing right. But what most people don't get is that the timing has a lot to do with personal reasons, not just financial reasons. And I know this because I'm a mortgage expert that's helped over 500 families through the decision of knowing when to buy or rent. In this video, I'm giving you the framework I use with every client that covers the financial and personal side, so that way you can make the right decision yourself. All right, so let's break down this survey that was done. And honestly, some of this shocked me too when I first went through this. So LendingTree actually surveyed thousands of Americans and asked them, why do you actually want to buy a home? And I thought it would be about building equity, because you hear all these agents and real estate agents talking about build equity. Parents might even say building equity. What you can see here is the top 4 reasons why someone would buy a house is, number 1 is flexibility. Do whatever they want in their space. Guess what? Personal reason. Number 2 is stability. They don't have to worry about renewing a lease. Guess what? Personal reason too. Number 3 is no rules against pets, and I understand that completely, and I resonate with that. Guess what? Personal reason. And a close 4th is pride of home ownership, which is another personal reason. And finally, on the 5th, we get a financial reason, which is homes typically increase in value. Now, all these YouTube videos out there that talk about, should I buy or rent or should I wait? They only focus on half of the equation, which is technically the math of like, hey, let's figure out how much your rent is versus buying a house, and then here's the interest rate, and you subtract the 2 and blah, 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 right? It's not the full formula, because you're missing half of the equation, therefore you cannot get a good answer. And that's why I wanted to show you this survey from people who actually wanted to buy a house. And this probably resonates with you watching this as well. So now here's the thing. Most of us grew up believing the American dream. You go to college, you get married, you buy a house, you start a family. Maybe you swap the order a little bit, right? But those are the milestones to hit. But the script was written in a different era. Since 2020, home prices are up 33%, and mortgage rates hit a historic low around 3% during the pandemic, and then went all the way up to like 8%, really close to it. And today they're sitting around 6%. That is more than double than where we were at during the pandemic. So the first question I ask every single client who sits down with me is this: what is making you want to buy right now? Because home prices are expensive and rates are high. And the question opens up everything, because the answer is never just financial, it is always personal. So before you watching this make this decision, there are 2 pictures that you need to look at. And most people only look at 1. All right, since you're watching this, you might be wondering, should I buy or should I rent? And am I actually ready? This is actually why I built the home buyer readiness quiz. It takes less than 30 seconds to complete, and it will tell you if you're ready or not. And there's no credit pull. And if you're not ready, I will give you customized videos to help you solve that specific constraint. So that way you can be the most ready buyer out there and get the best deals. And it's my gift to you. It's completely free. Check it out in the link down below. So here's the framework I use with every single client before they make this decision. I call it the picture framework, and it's gonna look like a picture. And your goal is to create a beautiful picture that you'll be able to look back and say, wow, that was a great life. One half of the picture is gonna be your financial picture, right? And this is what all the videos on YouTube talk about, but they miss the complete other half, which is the personal picture, right? And you need both of them to be clear once you have a full picture, right? Before you make this call of do I buy or rent, think of it almost as like yin and yang, right? You need both sides. Without one, the other doesn't exist. And like you can't hang a picture with also only half of it hanging out, right? You need both sides. Then all we need to do is go through these lists of questions, and it's a simple scoring system. There's gonna be 5 on the financial side and 5 on the personal side. And you'll have points for renting and points for buying. And at the end of this, the one with the highest points is the path I would recommend taking a step towards. Again, the goal of this framework, the picture framework, is to get us directionally correct, right? Then we course correct from there. We're not trying to make a perfect decision, right? Because perfect decision equals no decision at all. When's the last time anyone in here made the perfect decision? I would say pretty rare, right? But most of us had made an educated guess that got us directionally correct in the warmer direction, right? Because perfect decisions will cause analysis paralysis, and then therefore you don't do anything, right? So let's start with the financial picture. And here's how to get a clear view on the financial side. And I want you to answer these honestly, okay? So number one, how long are you planning to stay in this area? Because if the answer is less than 3, maybe even 5 years, the math on buying starts to work against you. Like if you plan on selling and moving 3 years out, it might not even make sense because it takes some time for that investment to, get some speed, if that makes sense. Because remember, the cost of buying a home and the cost of selling a home could be very expensive. If you buy a $500,000 house, for example, if you were to sell, it could cost you like $30,000 or more to sell. There's also repairs, right? You've seen those videos on social media that home ownership is fun because now you are the landlord. So if you need to move fast, renting could make more sense. So that's +1 for renting. If you can stay put for a while, buying could make more sense. So +1 for home buying. Number 2, do you have job stability right now? Because a mortgage is a long-term commitment. If your income is uncertain, that changes everything. Like if your job is not safe, then I would say +1 for renting. Like maybe your job, your position might be kind of in question, or maybe AI is going to be coming in, causing some disruption. +1 for renting, right? If you know you're going to be at the same job for a while, or if you decide to switch jobs into a better position and it's on your terms, just to be clear, right? Like it's your choice to move up into a different position, +1 for home buying. Number 3 is what's the difference between renting or buying or opportunity cost? So when you're renting, let's say it's $3,000 a month and a mortgage is $4,000 a month. And I'm just using simple examples. I know your situation is completely different. But again, this is the concept that I'm trying to teach. 4,000 minus 3,000 is 1,000, right? $1,000. You can invest that $1,000 a month if you're renting into the stock market, making an average of 10% on that $1,000 a month. And you can see the stock market has had a 10% return on average since 1957. So then you could take that $1,000 a month that you invest every year, let that ride for 10 plus years or whatever, right? Now you compare that to buying a home and how much equity you'll have 10 years from now to kind of get a more apples to apples comparison. Basically, you're looking at opportunity costs. On the renting side, it's like, okay, well, I'm not paying as much to live and I invest the difference. So let's say I make, X 100,000 by investing that for 10 years. But if I buy a house and it goes up in value, and yes, I pay it down a little bit, what's that difference there? And you want to compare the two. So again, just looking at the financial half, renting makes sense if you have higher returns investing the difference. And that's +1 for renting. If you break even, or if it's more when you buy a home, that's +1 for home buying. Number 4 is, do you expect your income to go up? Because buying a home today on your current income is one thing. But if you know your growth is coming, like the income, your promotions, dual income, or something like that, maybe partners graduating with a master's or whatever, and having an increase in income, that opens a different conversation entirely. And I call this the shrinking mortgage effect, right? And I want you to think about anyone watching this video that their parents or grandparents that own a house. When they bought their home, if you ask them, hey, were you stretched when you bought the home? They're going to say yes. Now, though, because inflation pushes debt down and it pushes income up, right? So fixed debt, it pushes fixed debt down. So their mortgage payment seems very low right now, but all they did was they just kind of waited it out because of inflation, right? So raises obviously happen, promotions happen, cost of living also went up, right? Like repairs, all that stuff, but the mortgage was a fixed rate. So what happened is, again, their mortgage stayed the same because it's a 30-year fixed, generally speaking, right? Meaning the debt stayed the same because it was fixed, and then inflation pushed the debt down, and then inflation pushed your income up. So that discrepancy is the shrinking mortgage effect. All right, so if your income is gonna stay the same within the next 5 years, or heaven forbid, go down, +1 for renting because it's more flexible, right? If your income is going up in the future, meaning it can go up faster than homes going up in price, home ownership would be the better move, +1 for home buying. Number 5 is, can you afford the full cost of home ownership? Not just the mortgage. And I'm talking about property taxes, of course, homeowners insurance, maintenance repairs. Maintenance always happens, right? Most people only budget for the mortgage payment and get surprised by everything else. My recommendation is for maintenance reserves is around 1 to 3% of the purchase price. You divide that by 12 because I don't want you to be the next social media post that home ownership is fun, right? Again, that 1% is going to be divided by 12. If you want to be on the more conservative side and save more, or let's say you're in a city that has a lot of natural disasters or whatever, you may want to be on the higher end, right? So that's something that you want to strive towards. You may not have that on the first year or the second year, but at least by the third year, you should start making those moves to that 1 to 3%. All right, if you can't afford the whole cost of home ownership, not just the mortgage, but the whole cost, renting would make more sense. So +1 for renting. If you can afford the whole cost, then buying would make more sense. +1 for buying. All right, real quick. So because you're watching this video, I know you're wondering, does buying or renting make more sense? This is why I built the free homebuyer readiness quiz. It takes less than 30 seconds to complete, and I'll tell you if you're ready or not. And there's no credit pull. And like I said, it's free. And again, if you're not ready, you'll get customized videos to solve that specific constraint. And you're watching this video, so that's why you probably like these videos. And the reason for this quiz is because I believe if you're the most ready buyer, you're gonna get the best deals. So it's my gift to you, completely free. Check it out in the link down below. Now let's talk about the personal picture. And this is the one that most people skip entirely, especially the videos that talk about should I buy or rent. This is the spicy stuff. Number one is, does your landlord allow pets? I'm putting this one first because what do they say? Dogs are our best friends. And I believe it. I mean, I have thousands of pictures of my dog, Indy, with me, just greeting me at a 10 out of 10 excitement every single time she sees me, right? My wife loves her and we all love her. So this will be our little YouTube secret, but I think I got more photos of Indy than photos of my friends, family, selfies like combined, but that's our little secret, okay? So if you don't have a pet or your landlord where you're renting allows pets because they're awesome, then +1 for renting. If your landlord is lame and doesn't allow pets and you have a pet and your best friend, +1 for home buying. Number two is, why do you actually want to buy? Is it your reason or is it someone else's? Because there's a big difference between wanting a home and feeling like you should have one by now. So let me tell you about one of my clients where her parents were saying, hey, you should buy in this specific city because you got to get back out there, you know, stuff like that. But her heart wasn't in that city, if that makes sense. She was like, I don't want to live in that specific city because of X, Y, and Z. But she really wanted to live in Southern California because of the weather, better lifestyle that, you know, matched her lifestyle and being more outdoorsy. But of course, there's a lot of people telling her, it's like, hey, don't leave so far away, right? Long story short, you know, she bought in Southern California. She loves it, enjoys it, and she's really glad that she stuck to her guns instead of listening to outside pressures, right? Even though the outside pressures meant well, it's just knowing why they want to buy and not why someone else wants you to buy. So if you're buying because of the social pressures or because your friends bought, that's +1 for renting. You should have your own reasons as to why. So if you feel strong that you want to buy a house because of you, not because of anyone else, then that's +1 for home buying. Number three, if you're buying with a partner, all right, make sure the relationship is rock solid because buying a home does not fix a shaky relationship. It adds weight to it. All right, so this actually reminds me of another client that bought in 2025. And let's just say I got, you know, a text like, hey, can we chat real quick? I want to see if I qualify. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like you bought like 6 months ago. So, you know, talked to one of the borrowers and they were mentioning, I didn't get into the details of like why, but something's transpired and I'm looking to get a divorce. And I was like, oh, whoa, that's definitely news to me. And let's figure out how much you do qualify for. Right? Long story short, we figured out how much she could qualify for, and it ended up that they worked it out, which is great. But it was a very close call that someone was going to need to move and buy somewhere else, or they were going to need to sell. So long story short, we want to make sure that we're not buying to fix the relationship. So if you're buying because you're trying to fix your relationship, then that's +1 for renting. If you have a rock solid relationship with your partner and they want to win with you, that's +1 for home buying. Number four, what does your life look like in 5 years? And does this home actually fit your needs? Because the home that you buy today needs to fit your life that you're building, not just the life that you have right now. Because on the very first question in the financial side, I mentioned, it's like, hey, do you have enough, you know, runway to actually like make buying make sense? So this is kind of like the opposite on the personal side, right? So are you getting married? You having kids, career changes, moving cities, So, those are some life questions, not necessarily math questions, right? So that's something you want to for sure make sure is like, the house that I'm buying, does it fit the life that I'm building? If the home wouldn't be a good match 5 years from now, that's +1 for renting. If this home fits your 5-year future self, that's +1 for home buying. Number 5, would you get a lot of enjoyment hosting at your place? It was very hard for me to write down because it's hard to describe. So I'm gonna do my best to describe it. This is one of those intangible things right now. So notice I said your place. Now, technically, you can do this if you're renting. You can have people over for the holidays, for parties, etc. If you would genuinely love, but just knowing that it's, the landlords and they have these rules over you, right? It's a different feeling. But if you genuinely know that it is your place, having your own place, you can do whatever you want. You can play the guitar as loud as you want. I remember one of my clients is he plays guitar, and he was like, dude, I'm just excited to just play my guitar as long as I want because, right now he's renting. So obviously the neighbors are let's not play this forever, but he can do whatever he wants, right? You can jam with your friends as loud as you want, as long as you want at your place, and you can get a lot of enjoyment out of that, right? And that's a good sign. And that's how I would want you to answer this question. So if you don't care at all whether people come over at the place that you're renting, then +1 for renting. If you would get a lot of enjoyment and happiness at your place, +1 for home buying. Okay, so we went over the financial side as well as the personal side. We added those together. We got the little, picture framework. And again, those list of 5 questions and 5 questions, right? Now you want to add everything up together. If you have more on the renting side, great. Let's move towards that direction and double down on those strengths, right? Flexibility, the ability to, move every single year and get those, moving bonuses that apartment complexes might have, right? But if you got more points on the home buying side, that's great. Let's take a step in that direction. Doesn't mean you need to buy a house today. It just means that you can take a step towards that direction. So now, if you want to buy a home and not because someone told you so, I'm going to give you one last thing on how I think about this. And I think this framework will help you not just in making a big home buying decision, but just in all aspects of life when you have this path that's really hard to choose. So when it comes to picking a path, whether that's buying or renting, again, or making a hard decision somewhere else, this is how I think about it, to make sure that I'm getting in the warmer direction. And the goal, again, isn't to make a perfect decision, but to get directionally correct and then get in the warmer direction. I would ask myself this, 10 years from now, which path would I regret not taking because you can't turn back time? And just above that, the big meta question is, I would ask myself, what person do I want to become and which path gets me closer to that person? So I call this finding the North Star, right? Or the why behind the decision. It's going to keep you grounded when you have that water leak at 2 a.m, okay? And you can't call your landlord. The answer doesn't live on a spreadsheet. It lives, in my opinion, on the intersection of both those pictures. So as always, I like to make the best videos in the mortgage education space. I hope you enjoyed this. Give it a like, subscribe, and comment what you want to watch next, or if you have any thoughts or maybe any questions that I should include in the picture framework. And also YouTube is recommending this video right over here. Give it a click. I'll see you there. I'll catch you in the next one.